So, when Shreddy was a kid, my parents told me, little Shreddy, one day you will grow out of Pokemon. And I'm sure your parents probably said the same to you as well. Well, here I am, 30 years old, still buying, still collecting Pokemon. 2020 showed us anything, it's that there is a lot of money to be made in Pokemon cards. But some groups of the collecting community have such a hate and a disdain for investors. Now, way back when, I was able to grow and build my collection by making a little bit of money on the side through Pokemon, reinvesting those profits back into the hobby to grow my own personal collection to what I have today. So when it comes to investing or making money with Pokemon cards, there's three different kinds of people within the money making world of Pokemon. Scalpers, flippers, investors. Three very different kinds of people that sometimes get a little bit muddied in the waters and a little bit blurred together all in the same bag. Well, today we're talking about the differences between flippers, scalpers, investors, what they are, if they're good or bad for the hobby, and how you can be both a collector and one or more of these other three things as well. So stick around and mega punch that thumbs up button if you're a fan of growing your collection while making a little bit of a side hustle as we jump into today's video.
Are you ready for Shreddy?
Thanks for checking out today's episode of the Pokemon Card Classic, guys. And we're going to start off by defining what scalpers, flippers and investors are, and talk about how you can be a collector in one hand but also be one or more of these three things at the same time. It ain't a crime to want to make a little bit of money off a hobby and off a passion that you might have, especially if you want to use that profit to put back into your own hobby. So first up, scalpers. Then a scalper is essentially somebody who buys a product at RRP that they know is in high demand to then sell it at a higher price, just like that. Scalpers get a buzz off making that quick money. Quite often they'll have very little interest and almost no passion or no love for the hobby. So a scalper in Pokemon could literally just be somebody who sees an article or sees something on the news about Pokemon being so popular, they see it in some Facebook groups, or they're actually a member of a scalping group. They know it's a hot in-demand item with stock shortages. So what a scalper will do is basically just find the product at retail, buy it out of retail, sell it on the secondary market because there is a stock shortage, there's a demand, the supply can't meet the demand, so therefore you can sell it at an inflated price to make some profit. A scalper would love to walk into Asda, Tesco, Walmart, buy the product and that very same day be able to sell it for 20, 50, maybe even 100% profit. Now, there's almost no good when it comes to scalpers. There's no benefit to having scalpers in the hobby. If you can think of any, then, please do let me know down in the comments below. But scalpers are essentially those people who are just emptying the shelves, have no real interest, no passion in Pokemon, and they're preventing collectors and people who want to open the product for themselves from being able to buy that product at RRP. And if people are impatient, they have to then spend more money to get that product. A scalper can only thrive when demand is so high and when there is problems with stock shortages, i.e. lockdown restrictions, logistic restrictions, or just not enough product being printed fast enough. Now, scalping goes on in any industry. We've recently seen it explode with Xbox One X's, PS5s, and it's a very popular thing with Pokemon at the minute. In my opinion, no good comes from scalpers in the hobby, but if you think there is some good from scalpers, then please do let me know what you think it is down below. The hobby could really benefit from saying goodbye to scalpers. However, so if you are a collector, there's an opportunity for you to be able to buy some product, flip it, make some money back to then pay for the products that you've already bought to open for yourself, or to use those profits to buy single cards that you want or whatever items it is from your collection. So if you are strapped for cash and on a budget and looking to grow your collection on a budget, then scalping is a very viable way, with the way that Pokemon is at the minute, to actually be able to make some money to help grow your collection for cheaper. Number two, flippers. And we ain't talking dolphins here, guys. Now, flippers in Pokemon are probably, in my opinion, what makes up the majority of collectors. Think back to when you were a kid, you'd buy your cards, open up a pack, absolutely fall in love if you pulled, a shiny Zapdos, a Charizard, a Blastoise, whatever it might be. But if you pull one shiny card this week, Then 2 weeks from now, you see a card you've never seen before, your friend has it, you probably want it, you're going to be prepared to part ways with the cards you've got to get this new, shiny, exciting thing. As adults, it works on a similar premise, but instead of swapping cards, talking selling and making stacks. But as adults, we're talking about maybe ripping packs, making stacks, because instead of swapping the cards, we'll be holding the cards and then selling them on. So in practical terms, a flipper is genuinely what I believe makes up the majority of both collectors and players within the Pokemon card game. It's people who buy products for their own collection or to play the card game with, without really the intention of selling it on. But if in, let's say, 6 months time, 3 months time, a year's time from now, they notice that one of those cards that they've got or part of the collection that they have is suddenly tripled, quadrupled in price, they then may be inclined to sell it because they've made a ton of money for kind of very little effort. They get that money back and they're able to reinvest it into other items for the collection. So different flippers will work in different ways. For actual collectors of Pokemon cards, a flipper could be somebody who has the card and has it for months, maybe a year or so, and they've kind of originally bought that card without the intentions to make money on it, but the chance to make some money arises, jump on that, because to them it makes sense to be able to, take the money and run, or take the money and put it back into other areas of their collection. The second kind of flipper, again, it can be a collector or somebody who is purely out to make money, and people who are buying cards will hold it for a shorter amount of time. It could be 2 weeks, it could be a month, it could be 3 months, but they're buying with the actual intentions to sell that card on. Or third kind of flipper are those who are looking to buy items for less than market value. So this could be because an eBay auction has just not had much traction, not many people have looked at it. You're able to snag an item for cheaper than what it would usually go for. You then sell it at market value and you've made yourself a nice little bit of money in that time. And this is probably the most ethical way that genuine collectors can make money within the hobby, by studying the market, knowing what the prices of cards are, finding deals, finding bargains, whether it's at a car boot sale, eBay auction, wherever it might be. They're able to get something for under market value, sell it for market value, make that money and put it back into items they want for their own collection. Flipping is such a viable way to grow your own collection whilst being involved in the hobby without spending a ton of your own savings. A large portion of flippers are going to be collectors, and I personally have no problem or no ill feelings towards flippers whatsoever. If you're a flipper working that side hustle to grow your collection, then Shreddy gives you his seal of approval. And what's even more important, if you are a flipper making them stacks, then what you want to do is mega punch that thumbs up button, tell YouTube to spread that awesome sauce all over this video and push it out to more Pokemon card collectors. Number 3, Pokemon investors. Now this is something that a bunch of people have kind of defaulted into, myself included. Back when I was collecting Pokemon in 2008 all the way to 2013, 2014, I did not consider myself an investor. So I don't want you looking at my collection or the cards I've got now and thinking, oh, that Shreddy guy, he knows what he's doing, he's switched on. I do kind of know what I'm doing, but don't think I'm this expert. I don't think I had this, this amazing foresight to know exactly how the market was going to go. I didn't know that. Nobody knew what was going to happen with Pokemon prices. All the way back then, and even now, I was a collector, I'm a collector now, and I was buying cards to collect and to build up my own collection. Long-term investors are collectors who are buying items to put away for the long haul. Whether you're a collector and you want it as part of your own collection and then 20 years later the prices have boomed, or whether you're not really a collector, you've got no kind of love for Pokemon, but you've identified it as an investment opportunity. An investor is going to be somebody who is buying cards and holding those cards for a long period of time. When I say a long period of time, that could range anywhere from 3, 5, 25 years. Now, investors all through last year seem to have got a lot of hate from very, vocal minorities within the Pokemon cards community. You can 100% be both a collector and an investor. For me, if I'm able to have items in my possession and in my collection that are appreciating over time and going up in value, I think that's a great thing. I understand that if you're late to the party and you want to get all these awesome cards, you might not be able to afford them now, but then you've got to ask yourself, do you want these cards now because you see that they're worth money and you wish that, I wish my collection was worth X thousands of pounds? because everybody has had the same amount of time to collect these cards over the past 20 plus years. There's cards that I wish I bought 15, 12 years ago that I just slept on or I never got round to, that I'm either having to pay top dollar for them now or just kind of admit or accept that I'm not going to justify paying that kind of money for the cards. My personal experience, investing is by far going to give you the highest return. Now, from my own personal experience, investing is by far the best way to make the most amount of money. When flipping, if you can see a profit of a couple of £100 or a couple of $100, it's very enticing to flip the product, get the profits and move on. Whereas the products that I have flipped way back when, if I'd held on to, and I'm specifically talking about keeping this box sealed, would be worth a ton of money now. The power of hindsight is absolutely brilliant. If I knew that these cards were going to be worth what they are in 2020, when I was buying them back in 2008, I literally would not have sold a single thing. However, I didn't have much disposable income back then. I didn't have any kind of savings. So flipping was the only way to keep those cards coming in, generate some money to keep growing my own personal collection. So if you are hard up for cash or you don't have that reserve of money and savings to sit on to keep investing into the hobby, then flipping is a good way to build up that level of income to keep reinvesting back into the hobby. That or getting a real job or a real second job, but ain't nobody got time for that. So if you're a collector and an investor, I think it's this group of people that are going to get the most out of the hobby. The most amount of fun, the most amount of engagement, and the best returns on what they're spending. A long-term investor isn't bothered about the fluctuations in the short term in the market. If I was looking to flip a first edition PSA 10 Shining Charizard that I've got, I would be very happy with the money that it would already have made. However, as an investor, I see this particular item as having much more potential to grow in value in the next 10, 15, 25 years. And as a genuine collector, it's something that if I was to sell that now, I'm probably going to have to pay more for it if I want to add it back to my collection down the road. So it's an item that I just want to have for my own collection and for my own enjoyment. So what does this mean for the hobby? What does it mean for you? Well, if you are looking to grow your collection without always having to dip into your savings account or work extra hours at work, then what I would recommend to you is look to flip some products, whether it's buying things at retail and modern Pokemon, waiting for them to raise up in price to make a little bit of money, whether it's looking on eBay for vintage cards, raw cards, collections, graded cards, trying to flip them to make that profit to then reinvest back into the hobby to grow your own collection, put some items away that you want for your own collection as longer term investments to potentially sell down the line in 15 years, 20 years time. As a very overarching, basic, broad strategy, that is what I would recommend to anybody out there who has a genuine love and a genuine passion for the hobby and is wanting to grow their collection. The last bit of advice I want to give you is to mega punch that thumbs up button, because it only takes 2 seconds to do and really helps YouTube push this video out to more Pokemon card collectors. That's it for today's video, guys. If you want to see more videos about how you can grow your collection or how you can make money in Pokemon, or you want retrospectives on Pokemon card collections in the older sets, then do hit that subscribe button. On screen now is more videos that I know you're going to love, so be sure to go and check those out. My name is Shreddy, the jacked, stacked serial thriller of Pokemon card collecting, and until next time, remember that collecting ain't no gimmick, it's a lifestyle.